Namaskar. The situation in northeast Delhi has largely returned to normal. 98% of the exam students in the area answered their board papers today. Both the Delhi High Court and the Supreme Court are seized of the matter, with the Delhi police asked to send a compliance report to the Delhi High Court. The Supreme Court is also due to hear a petition on alleged hate speeches on the 4th of this month. The police have asked the people not to be taken in by rumors, and yesterday, in fact, a few rumors created some panic among residents in the area. So fake news must stop, and that's our focus tonight. You're watching Newsnight. Here are the headlines. Delhi's Patiala House Court stays the hanging of Nirbhaya's convicts. The convict Pawan's mercy plea is pending with the president. Pawan has filed a curative petition before the Supreme Court. Opposition disrupts day one of the second leg of the budget session. The opposition demands a debate on the Delhi violence. The BJP and the Congress members exchange angry sentiments. The BJP blames the Congress for the deadlock in the House. Normalcy is returning in violence-hit areas of northeast Delhi. Security forces maintain complete vigilance. Students of classes 10 and 12 appear for their examinations. Work on relief and rehabilitation is underway. Two fresh cases of coronavirus detected in India, one being treated in Delhi, the other in Telangana. The Health Ministry issues a travel advisory for Iran, Italy, Korea and Singapore. Thermal screening of passengers from 12 countries to continue. Coronavirus spreads across the globe. 89,000 cases reported so far. Claims 3,000 lives. Also in Iran, South Korea and Italy. The second death is in US. 2 days after peace deal with the US, Taliban announces campaign against Afghan security forces. The Taliban spokesperson says partial ceasefire had ended. New Zealand wins the series 2-0 after defeating India by 7 wickets in the second test. Captain Virat Kohli says no excuse, the batsmen did not put enough runs on the board for the bowlers to attack with. Our top story, a Delhi court has deferred till further orders the hanging of 4 death row convicts in the 2012 Nirbhaya gang rape and murder case, pending disposal of the convicts' mercy plea. Now, all the convicts in the case were to be hanged together on Tuesday at 6 a.m. The execution of their death warrants has been deferred thrice due to delays in exhausting their legal remedies. Nirbhaya's mother, Asha Devi, said that no matter what the convicts do, they will be hanged for their crime.
A Delhi court on Monday deferred till further order the hanging of 4 death row convicts in the 2012 Nirbhaya gang rape and murder case pending disposal of convicts' mercy plea. The execution of their death warrants has been deferred thrice due to delays in exhausting legal remedies. All the convicts in the case were to be hanged together on Tuesday at 6 a.m. Additional Sessions Judge Dharmendra Rana said death cannot be executed pending disposal of mercy petition of the convict Pawan Gupta. Despite stiff resistance from the victim side, I am of the opinion that any condemned convict must not meet his creator with a grievance that the courts of the country have not acted fairly in granting him an opportunity to exhaust his legal remedies. As a cumulative effect of the discussion, I am of the opinion that the death sentence cannot be executed pending the disposal of mercy petition of the convict. It is hereby directed that the execution of death warrants against all the convicts scheduled for March 3rd at 6 a.m. is deferred till further orders.
बहुत जल्द हमें within 2 or 3 days में एक फ्रेश डेट हमें फिर मिलेगी और वो डेट भी फाइनल होगी। लेकिन आज मुझे एक चीज समझ में नहीं आई कोर्ट में कि जो दिल्ली हाई कोर्ट ने 1 वीक का टाइम प्रिस्क्राइब किया था, उस टाइम का मीनिंग क्या है? सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने जो डायरेक्शन दिया था उसका मीनिंग क्या है?
The court passed the order on Pawan's plea seeking to stay the execution as he has filed a mercy petition before the president on Monday. While it was reserving the order on Pawan's fresh plea to stay the death warrant on Tuesday morning, the court rapped convicts' lawyer for acting so late in filing the curative and mercy pleas. Pawan's curative plea was rejected by the Supreme Court earlier in the day. The trial court had earlier in the day dismissed Pawan's and co-accused Akshay Kumar Singh's application for staying their death warrants. Nirbhaya's family was once again shattered.
फैसले अपने ही दिए हुए फैसले में अमल करने में उनको इतना टाइम क्यों लग रहा है, क्यों बार बार फांसी पोस्टपोन हो रही है? तो कहीं ना कहीं जो हमारी कानून व्यवस्था है, जो मुजरिम चाहते हैं वही होता है। बार बार पोस्टपोन होना हमारी सिस्टम का नाकामी दिखा रहा है।
एपी सिंह ने जिस तरह से गुमराह किया जज को और कोर्ट को, सिस्टम को, तो उसमें कोई ऐसी बात नहीं है। तीसरी बार टला है लेकिन चौथी बार नहीं टलेगा।
The 23-year-old physiotherapy intern was gang raped and assaulted on December 16, 2012 in a moving bus in South Delhi. She succumbed to her injuries a fortnight later in Singapore hospital. With inputs from Anil Punya, DD News.
And the second part of the budget session of Parliament began today, and it began with the opposition creating a ruckus about the recent Delhi violence. Both houses of Parliament couldn't conduct much business because of the pandemonium.
On day one of the second leg of the budget session, the opposition created ruckus on the issue of violence in some parts of national capital in the past few days. Lok Sabha passed obituary reference to sitting member Baidyanath Prasad Mato. As soon as the proceedings resumed in the House, pandemonium began once again, and amid the ruckus, the Lok Sabha Speaker directed discussion be taken up on Vivad Se Vishwas Bill 2020.
हम भी चाहते हैं सदन में चर्चा हो, ये लोकतंत्र का मंदिर है, लेकिन आपको ये तख्तियां नारेबाजी करने का अधिकार सदन के बाहर जनता ने दिया है.
The ruckus continued and the members of the BJP and Congress nearly came to blows.
3 सत्रों से कांग्रेस का गुंडा एलिमेंट लोकसभा की प्रोसीडिंग्स को कहीं ना कहीं गतिरोध के रूप में अपना काम करने का भरसक प्रयास कर रहा है. आज मुझे ये कहते हुए अफसोस है कि 3 टाइम की महिला एमपी, अटल जी की सरकार में मंत्री और ट्राइबल समुदाय का गौरव जसकौर मीना जी के साथ दुर्व्यवहार हमारे सदन के पटल पर हुआ.
The House was once again adjourned.
हम सबका प्रयास ये होना चाहिए कि हम इस संसद की मर्यादा को बनाए रखें, और मैं पूरे सदन से व्यक्तिगत रूप से भी आग्रह करूंगा कि जो वरिष्ठ सदस्य हैं इसमें हस्तक्षेप कर और इसकी गरिमा को बढ़ाए रखें. आज व्यक्तिगत रूप से मैं बहुत दुखी हूं.
The BJP hit out at the opposition for the scuffle.
कि जिन लोगों ने खुद ही आग लगाई है वो क्या आरोप लगाएंगे? जिन लोगों ने घर से निकलो आर पार की लड़ाई लड़ो, नहीं निकले तो कायर कहे जाओगे, ये सब बातें कहने वाली, ये सारे जिन जिन ने भी इसमें आग में घी डालने का काम किया है अपने बयानों से, उनके बयानों की जांच हो.
In the Rajya Sabha, the opposition demanded a probe into the violence in some parts of Delhi. The deputy chairman said that the violence is a serious issue. When the situation will become normal in Delhi, the issue will be discussed in the House after discussions with the leader of the House, leader of the opposition, and the minister concerned.
Is definitely important. It deserves to be discussed. But at the same time, I am of the view, keeping in view what has happened, our priority should be to see that the normalcy is restored, and then we discuss about ways and means of preventing it and also taking measures. मैं चाहता हूँ हम लोग एक स्वर से बोले इस हाउस से सामान्य स्थिति लाने के लिए, एक स्वर से बोले, ये कोई पद्धति नहीं.
Leader of the opposition Ghulam Nabi Azad and other opposition members demanded discussion on the issue. But Leader of the House Thawar Chand Gehlot said that it is because of the government's active role that the law and order situation is under control in Delhi and there is peace in all the areas.
3 दिन और 3 रात ये केंद्रीय सरकार सोई नहीं होती, इसकी वजह से ये
सभापति महोदय, आपने जो कहा उससे मैं सहमति व्यक्त करता हूं और विरोध पक्ष के समस्त लोगों से निवेदन करना चाहता हूं कि दिल्ली में शांति बनी रहे, इसको प्राथमिकता देने की आवश्यकता है। और गुलाम नबी आजाद जी ने जो कहा वो ठीक नहीं है, उचित नहीं है, निंदनीय है।
Due to the ruckus, the House was adjourned and it resumed at 2 p.m. The opposition continued the ruckus, and amidst the ruckus, Central Sanskrit University bill was introduced and discussion started on it. But the pandemonium caused the House to be adjourned for the day. In the second phase of the budget session, the priority will be to have the budget proposals passed and those bills passed that were introduced in the first part of the session. With Parliament team, News Night Desk, DD India.
So let's move on to our story, which is in focus tonight. The situation in northeast Delhi, where life is returning to complete normalcy. Here's our report.
These visuals are a clear indication that the situation in the riot-affected areas of northeast Delhi has become increasingly normal. Normal routine life is clearly visible. Vehicles have been plying on the streets and shops have reopened. There was no violence reported from any part of northeast Delhi on Monday. A large number of security forces have been deployed in Zafarabad, Maujpur, Babarpur, Chandbagh, Shiv Vihar, Bhajanpura, Yamuna Vihar and Mustafabad. Police have been appealing to people to maintain peace.
शांतिपूर्ण है बिल्कुल, और आप पूरे क्षेत्र में नॉर्थ ईस्ट में दुकानें खुली हुई हैं, जनजीवन सामान्य है, पूर्णतया शांति है, एकदम पीसफुल. Normalcy has been restored in this area. Everybody is doing his job.
The board examinations were conducted on Monday amid heavy security deployment in the area. In violence-hit areas of northeast Delhi, the attendance at the board exams was more than 98%. Police took all the precautions to ensure student safety.
बहुत अच्छा इनका टर्नआउट रहा है. सभी बच्चे जो हैं एग्जामिनेशन सेंटर में आए हैं, पेपर दिए हैं. करीब 98.2% आज की अटेंडेंस रही है. तो ये स्थिति संकेत करती है कि अब जो नॉर्थ ईस्ट में स्थितियां हैं वो सामान्य हो चुके हैं.
Students of the 12th grade had their physics paper, while those doing the 10th grade had music as their subject. In Khajuri Khas, the police gave students who had come for their board examinations a rose each and wished them all the best for their papers.
तैयारी सही है, बट ये जो कैंसिल का प्रोसेस चल रहा है उसकी वजह से हम तैयारी सही से कर नहीं पा रहे, क्योंकि हमें डर रहता है कि कैंसिल ना हो जाए पेपर. उसकी वजह से हमारे माइंडसेट पे ये रहता है कि हाँ पेपर कैंसिल हो जाएगा, इसलिए ज़्यादा पढ़ नहीं पाते.
तैयारी तो वही है जो पूरी साल की, जो मेन तैयारी 4 दिन की होती है, क्योंकि ये है सर तैयारी उन्हीं दिनों की होती है जो पेपर में छुट्टी मिलती है. मेन तैयारी वही होती है.
इंग्लिश का भी पेपर हमारा कैंसिल हुआ था, तो फिर फिजिक्स की तैयारी भी ढंग से हो नहीं पाई, पर फिर भी पूरी कोशिश तो करी है.
The CBSE has said that it is ready to allow those students who could not take the examination during the violence-hit days to appear for exams once again. Meanwhile, relief for victims of the violence has been stepped up. The Delhi government announced an honorarium of ₹1 crore to the family of an IB employee who lost his life in the violence in northeast Delhi. At the same time, BSF has given 10 lakh rupees to the member of its staff whose house was burnt by a mob during the violence in Khajuri Khas. A check of ₹10 lakh was handed over to Muhammad Anis at the BSF headquarters. The BSF will also rebuild his house.
पूरा BSF DG साहब, IG साहब, DIG साहब सारे हेल्प कर रहे हैं मेरी बहुत, और मैं बहुत खुशनसीब हूँ जो मैं BSF में का एम्प्लॉय हूँ, और मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा. मेरे बड़े-बड़े अधिकारी सब आ रहे हैं.
Some schools were also partially burnt in the riots, and work is on to restore the classrooms so that students' education is not hampered.
Almost हम classes as per schedule 7th of March को, मतलब 8th of March, that is Sunday, तक हम कंप्लीट कर देंगे क्लासेस का डन, और 9th of March के लिए हम क्लासरूम्स हमारे पास अवेलेबल हो जाएंगे कि हम उसमें अपने बच्चों को स्टडीज करवा सकें.
The Delhi High Court on Monday directed the police to file a status report on the steps being taken for relief and rehabilitation of the people affected by the violence in northeast Delhi. The court has directed the Delhi police to file a report in compliance with its order of February 26th, in which it had issued specific instructions for rehabilitation of the victims. The court fixed April 30th for its next hearing in the case. The Supreme Court is also seized of the matter, having agreed to hear a petition demanding an FIR against leaders who allegedly instigated the violence with their alleged hate speeches. A bench headed by Chief Justice of India will hear the petition on 4th of March. The petition has been filed by the riot victims. The Delhi police too has redoubled efforts to silence rumour mongers. Sunday saw a number of rumours being spread on social media that rekindled fear and spread some panic. The Delhi police has appealed to people to be vigilant and ignore rumours and cooperate with the police in maintaining peace and harmony in their areas. Social media is being monitored and strict action will be taken against those who spread fake news. With inputs from Anil Punia and Vikas Sarthi, News Night Desk, DD India.
Well, there's some news that's coming in right now, and in fact, the Prime Minister has tweeted saying that this Sunday he was thinking of giving up his social media accounts on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Will keep you posted, is what the Prime Minister has tweeted. And important news there. So we are talking to Arun Sharma, who's joining us with an update on this. Well, Arun, the Prime Minister is going to keep us updated, but what exactly led to this, to the Prime Minister thinking about this?
An important development that is taking place as of now. Now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has just tweeted about this. And let me just tell you that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is the most followed leader on Twitter, yes, Facebook, and Instagram. Of course, he's the global. If you talk about the global leaders, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is the most followed leader. But yes, there could be two reasons that what we are analyzing as of now. Because I mean, we know this type of science is a good servant, but the bad master. Science has its own pros and cons. The way the fake news is being circulated, the yes, way we are seeing a lot of episodes of fake news using the social media, this could be one of the reasons that staying away from these kind of social media platforms could be one of the reasons why Prime Minister Narendra Modi wants to stay away from these social media applications and wants to give a message that we should use social media platforms very diligently. And second important reason that could be marked as of now is social anxiety as well. In last couple of years, we have seen that in youth primarily, the number of depression cases, social anxiety cases, all these cases have been on a very much increase in last couple of years. And social media platforms, the number of more platforms to use as far as social media platforms are concerned, it is very much likely that the social anxiety gets increased, the cases of depression increase. So these are the primary two reasons that could be the reason. Because Prime Minister Narendra Modi, we know this fact, he's the most followed leader globally
yes,
as far as the leaders are concerned. And second important aspect is that, Mark, that we have seen that Prime Minister Narendra Modi was one of the pioneers as far as the Indian political system is concerned to use the social media platforms in catering the information, in catering the information to the people, in connecting with the people. So Prime Minister till now has used this platform, that is Twitter, Facebook and Instagram, to connect more with the people. But yes, looking at some of the cases, because yesterday only we saw a lot of rumor and fake news were created on the social media platforms like Twitter. And that could be the reason perhaps that Prime Minister Narendra Modi must be introspecting on the day of Sunday and must have decided to tweet that he must be staying away from these kind of social media applications.
So
that could
indeed,
be two reasons as of
Arun,
now.
Arun, yes, indeed. When the Prime Minister himself comes out with a statement like this, and a lot of us have already been thinking, that fake news must stop. In fact, that's what we're going to be discussing in the studio. But when the Prime Minister comes out with a statement like this, it sends a clear message, isn't it, to people to beware of fake news. Fake news that is causing, you mentioned about the social anxiety to students during examinations. These are the concerns. But the fake news is causing so much concern because also of the coronavirus and all these other issues. So this is a time when, people need to introspect quite significantly.
That's the reason, primary remark. And let's also recall this fact that earlier also the social media application platforms, CEOs like Twitter and Facebook, their top bosses were also summoned by the Indian government, and they were also asked that how can the fake messages, fake news can be combated or they can be controlled. And Twitter and Facebook, they have already, taken several steps in order to control or combat these kind of fake news and fake messages. But yes, the fake news as of now is very much, it is very important for any government to control. And we have been seeing that government in a step to control fake news. The PIB unit of the government, the Press Information Bureau, has also come out with a fact check Twitter handle whereby the fake news, the fake messages have been,
Yes, indeed. In fact, Arun, we are also joined in the studio by people who are experts in the field of social media, so we can actually talk to them about the Prime Minister's tweet as well. We are joined by Pawan Dugal, who's a cyber expert, and Subimal Bhattacharjee, a cyber security analyst. So first, Mr. Dugal, how would you understand what the Prime Minister has tweeted today? Put it into context for us.
I think the Prime Minister has said more than what he's actually indicated. He's actually shown his displeasure to this entire phenomenon of fake news and how not just communities but society itself is beginning to get prejudicially impacted in terms of the preservation of law and order. So I believe it's an anguish of a thought leader and one guy who's actually gone ahead and redefined how social media is to be used for governance purposes. If that kind of message comes across, I think we as users need to take a cue that if the thought leaders are thinking like this, is it not time that us as users would need to start contributing in not further dissemination of fake news and start adopting more due diligence in our day-to-day methodologies while dealing with this humongous volumes of data that we are continuously getting on our social media platforms.
Right, Mr. Bhattacharjee, let's try and understand this from from the technical point of view. So there's a lot of fake news that's going on social media. There are tools that can basically stop them. First, there is appealing to the minds of people to try and behave more in a more responsible way. But there are also tools available with the police. Can you enumerate as a cyber analyst, security analyst, what kind of tools are available to the government to actually crack down on fake news?
The phenomena of Facebook is not something that even the tools can weed off completely, and that was not the intent with which internet was also started. Internet was meant to be a free medium, and now it has been seen that this medium has become the backbone for most of the fake news dissemination, and that's where you see the Prime Minister's anguish.
Right.
But even if you go back, his government has been trying to look at this issue for quite some time. In fact, whatever steps WhatsApp has taken in terms of restriction about forwards and then getting a tick about forwarding, all of these steps are well intentioned. But even if you come to that point that you asked me about the technical point, now how much of a filtration you think you should do, and will you be able to take it off? Will you be able to sort of go to every source? I'm sure you would have seen recently that some of the large social media companies they have already formed a kind of an alliance to look at all of these issues together. In terms of is there a responsibility that they take and do some certain level of steps, or though they go by what happens. So if you look at it, a policing nature of trying to weed away fake news, I don't think is a permanent solution. I think a mixture of
both, obviously, people's
you can say self-censorship as well as technical issues. Now technical activities or technical intervention should happen when it comes to law enforcement, and nowadays a lot of these cases are coming to law enforcement, and the competency of the law enforcement to an extent has been bolstered across the country, across the state police forces.
Fair enough.
But this is something that the police always runs after the thief, and and there are a lot of people who are using the various issues when there are no issues at hand, making these issues into avenues to generate, propagate and create a sense of mistrust and fear.
Right,
So
but Pawan Dugal, doesn't data leave a track that that's what people thought right from the days when the internet was when people started using the internet. It leaves tracks. So it's in today's day and age, I suppose there are programs that can go mine through all this in data and find patterns and quite easily pinpoint the blame on X or Y, and it should be pretty easy, isn't it, in this day and age to pinpoint the blame of where a particular rumor starts from. That's what one would think.
Well, that's factually accurate, but what we have not really taken into consideration is that cyber criminals are almost 10 steps ahead of law enforcement agencies.
Okay.
And now with the increasing tools available by means of which they can go ahead and obliterate incriminating electronic footprints, further makes it more difficult. In any case, in these kinds of social media misuses, the role of the social media service provider becomes of paramount importance.
Okay.
And the ability of the social media service provider to exchange and give information to the law enforcement agency is one particular area that is of remarkable efficacy should we want to go forward. But now two things. Number one, with the advent of deepfake as a technology coming in, it's emerged already in the Delhi elections. It's already beginning to show up in the Delhi riots, social media misuse. I think that's going to get more and more bigger when the lay persons will not be in a position to demonstrate and actually determine by naked eye as to what they are seeing is factually accurate or not. And number two, the inability of the Indian law to effectively enforce the service providers to provide all kinds of information to the law enforcement agencies in the direction of identifying the perpetuators of these kinds of exercises is also costing us much more dearly. The law is still set up in stone. The law is what it was in 2008 because that's the time we last amended it after the Mumbai the attacks. But now the problem is social media ground realities are completely different. The law is silent on social media. The law is silent on fake news. India does not have a dedicated law on fake news. We don't even want to learn from countries like other countries like Malaysia, which have experimented with legal experiments on how to regulate fake news. But very quickly, as nations, you'll have to realize if you do not address this problem now, it's going to come and bite you, your sovereignty, security.
Let's bring back as to why we are discussing this, because the Prime Minister has tweeted today saying that this Sunday he was thinking about giving up his social media accounts on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and YouTube, and will keep you updated. And we understand that the reason why the Prime Minister is doing this is because he is upset about fake news that is spreading. Fake news is causing considerable problems in the country's system of law and order. It's breaking up society. It's causing social anxiety. It's causing children who are doing their exams problems. There's concern also with coronavirus that's being made a bigger threat than it is about the people who are in the country who are dealing with it. So these are the kind of issues, and I think the Prime Minister is sending out a message that people need to be aware of what social media can do. It has, of course, its tremendous positives, but at a time like this, it does have negatives, and this is what we are focusing on. So let's bring back Mr. Subimal Bhattacharjee into the discussion. Let's look at what the Prime Minister says and try and understand. He's mentioned 3 accounts, his social media accounts: Facebook, Twitter and Instagram and YouTube. YouTube is also a means in which people begin to see videos, and in fact they forward videos. Of course, all that happens also on WhatsApp, and he's not mentioned WhatsApp, but WhatsApp is really the biggest form where all these things spread. So videos are particularly a problem, aren't they?
Absolutely. I think YouTube is by far one of the most popular channels that everyone uses today, and fakes are going through YouTube in a big way. But if you look at, of course, the Prime Minister might not be WhatsApping with.
Obviously, those work within groups, but that's true.
If you see, the WhatsApp is the larger, or possibly the biggest source by which most of the fake news are spreading in the country. But if you look at the videos now, even whatever is uploaded on YouTube, as you had mentioned about digital footprints and YouTube being an intermediary under our laws, I think the law enforcement agencies have every right to question YouTube, to request YouTube, and obviously they are taken off when law enforcement or the courts are responding. But I would think that, as Mr. Duggal had also mentioned earlier, he mentioned about the IT Act, but even around social media, there are some intermediary guidelines that are now lying for more than a year. They need to be brought and implemented. There was a hope that something will come last month.
Yes.
Now, even if these are brought, they might seem to be a little bit tough on the intermediaries, as some are claiming, but unless we bring in some changes to the position that we have always taken as far as the law is concerned of 79, that you are not responsible unless you have a role in the inception, transmission and reception of a content. But if you see the speed and the pace at which these things spread and then light fires across the country, somewhere there is a responsibility on the intermediaries that has to be pinned by the law, by the regulation and law enforcement. And this is where I think the Prime Minister's, the message from what the Prime Minister has expressed today should be taken far much more strictly by the departments and the enforcement agencies.
Mr. Dugal, you're a lawyer, so you can tell us, you know, this sort of fake news and fake posts and all that are actually a crime, isn't it? Isn't it? Could you be punished for it?
Well, actually speaking, fake news is not a crime.
No,
but
I mean
the Technology Act is completely silent on it. But yes, you can be booked for a case under section 468 of the Indian Penal Code, because when you are creating or when you are publishing or transmitting fake news, you're creating false electronic records. Thereby, you're conducting electronic forgery. And if the forgery is being done electronically for the purposes of cheating, you could definitely be hauled up under section 468 of the Indian Penal Code, punishable with 7 years imprisonment and fine. So it's a non-bailable offense. Unfortunately, we've seen a lack of innovative approaches in trying to effectively go ahead and invoke section 468 of the Indian Penal Code in these kinds of matters. Primarily the problem is the IT Act is the foundational mother legislation on the electronic format. And if that's going to be completely silent, the message that comes loud and clear is, well, the legal frameworks are not in place. And the inadequacy of the Information Technology Act, rules and regulations thereafter, to force the service providers to give information. Now, the problem is the service providers are all hiding behind the Supreme Court judgment in Sharia Singhal versus Union of India of 2015. In that historic judgment, the Supreme Court said, hey guys, you are service providers, you are going to be inundated with lakhs of requests for removal of data. Please don't remove data till such time you get a court order or an order from a governmental agency. Now, getting a court order or an order from a governmental agency takes a lot of time. Now, most of the common men are not able to do so, and that so effectively. So in a scenario like this, the service providers are hiding behind this. I think it's time that you, as a country, need to relook at how you coming up with new provisions on intermediary liability, making them responsible. You cannot say that I am a service provider, but I will be a mute spectator. I will let mayhem happen on my platform while there's so much collateral damage. Some work will have to be done.
Right. Mr. Bhattacharjee, there was this impression, you know, that fake news will be spotted by people who are fact checkers, who will be able to tell you this is it, you know, this is the real thing, and they show you how that is fake. But the fact checkers themselves now have, you know, become to have vested interests, and that is also becoming a bit of a concern. So, you know, this whole industry of producing, let's say, propaganda of a kind, is a matter of concern, and if it's not punishable, you know, as because it creates enmity, creates wrong ideas, it divides society, then you know, how can it actually be stopped?
So I think, you know, as I mentioned earlier, the enormity of the problem is such that, you know, quarters or islands of activity or action really wouldn't result in something that we would ideally want. However, you know, the whole medium of cyberspace is as a very dynamic medium, and in it all the players, the stakeholders have responsibilities, and now they have to be legally held responsible, and then the, you know, the punitive powers and everything have to be implemented very strongly. The messaging, the actions, these are something that has to act as a deterrent. The fact checkers are somebody that, you know, most of these reputed social media organizations have been using. Even for India they have been using, but at the end of the day it is not able to stop something, even say within 10 seconds of something that has been put up, because it spreads like wildfire, and then from God knows from where, when, what somebody picks up and flares up. As I said, you know, even today right now Meghalaya is burning. In Assam at certain portion, a little known place which you don't know called Umrangso, that is burning. And these are places in which, you know, which don't come to the national radar, but because the social media, somebody has posted a fake news, that goes on. And the police are also, you know, not I would say not incapable, but they are not with that capacity to be able to investigate and hold something in that period of time, by which if you take some action, then you can prevent something. So the deterrence factor is also possibly not working.
Right. We had actually prepared some do's and don'ts, but you know, I think my producer has removed it from the rundown. But if I recall, you know, some of those things, it says to check the information that is hard to believe, avoid messages that appear to be suspect, you know, avoid things that ask you to forward it. Basically, those are important. I mean, if somebody's sending a message asking you to forward it, that's probably, it means that, you know, it's being peddled. So people have to be aware of a few of these kind of things, isn't it?
Sir, at your level, you can do, I can do, Mr. Duggal can do, but the man in the village who today has a mobile phone, you know, and he takes interest in all of this, it gets difficult for him, you know, to decipher whether, you know, something is coming true or something is a fake. So, you know, and the proximal utility of a mobile phone today, the trustworthiness that has come because it is so close to you is far much more than what even your elders would tell you. You tend to disbelieve. So these are some of these things. I think a large awareness campaign we have to do across the country, where we go down to the last mile and we go to the, you know, how do we address the common man? How does he understand, you know, what is fake and, you know, what is true? These indicators are very general. They actually still won't, it has to be a concerted awareness program that has to go on.
Okay.
I would think, you know, that is partially a solution, but we all have to work and build up the
if Mr. Duggal, so if someone has asked to verify the information, I mean, you get it first on WhatsApp, let's say, I mean, what would one do to verify the information? One would look at, you know, other sources of the news. There are so many other sources which are online. There's also television channels that are not, you know, if they're not discussing that kind of news, it's obviously not true. So there are various ways you can check the news, isn't it? People should be aware of that, at least.
I think people need to adopt due diligence as a part of their day-to-day lives. Just because we want to have that 15 seconds of fame in being the first person to share that amongst our group should not be the predominant factor. I think we should all adopt the 1 to 10 second rule, which is, once I read something, I want to close my eyes and count 1 to 10, just to identify what's this news. If I'm going to forward it, will it actually cause damage or will it cause benefit? Number 2, it's always a good idea to go for independent corroboration. Go to various other social media search engines or normal search engines to find out what exactly is happening. And that will give you a reasonable picture. But don't be in a hurry to share information so quickly that you yourself become a pawn in the broader game of chess that's being played by these vested players, so that somehow not just the public order, but the sovereignty, security and integrity of India could be prejudicially impacted. So I think all of us have a responsibility to our own selves, our families, our friends, society and the nation at large, that we are now not going to forward or disseminate any content which is alarming, which is bound to hurt feelings or which is bound to prejudicially impact public order or decency.
Right. And, you know, let's come back then to the law enforcement agencies as well. So supposing somebody is aware that people are spreading this kind of information, what should they do, Mr. Bhattacharjee? Would you say that they should be in touch with the police?
Of course, that's the first port of call. You have to go to the police, you have to inform them now, and then there is a responsibility to follow up with them. Now, very many times, and I see this particularly in many places in Assam, that, you know, whenever someone goes to a police, then after that there is complete silence.
Right.
So you know, a regular follow-up is required, but at the same time, I would think that, you know, there must be a toll-free number where anyone can call, or anyone can, or an email where anyone can register beside that police part, which can have a similar criminal aspect, so that somewhere it is recorded. It's a game that not necessarily would be solved within a police station or, you know, the police network. It requires a lot of technical expertise. So that's where, let us see how we devise a system where we involve you know, all the stakeholders and arrive at the solution.
Okay, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much, Mr. Pawan Duggal and Mr. Subimal Bhattacharjee, for joining us on this discussion to stop fake news. And quite, you know, interestingly, the Prime Minister has given us this call also through a tweet. He has said that this Sunday he was thinking about giving up his social media accounts on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and YouTube. We'll keep you posted That's what the Prime Minister said, because of actually fake news causing considerable problems, within the fabric of our nation. So let's move on to our next story, and this is about the coronavirus. And well, there have been 2 more fresh cases that have been reported in Delhi. One is in, in India. One is in Delhi, and the other is in Telangana. Here's our report.
2 fresh cases of the novel coronavirus, one in Delhi and another in Telangana, have been reported in India, taking the number of people who have tested positive for the respiratory virus in the country to 5 so far, the Union Health Ministry said on Monday. The infected person from Delhi recently travelled to Italy, while the other patient from Telangana travelled to Dubai. The Union Health Ministry has advised people to refrain from non-essential travel to Iran, Italy, South Korea and Singapore. Coronavirus cases have been found in a total of 5 patients in India, out of which the first 3 patients have fully recovered. There are now 2 new cases in the country. The government is taking all precautionary measures to deal with the virus. Prime Minister Narendra Modi himself is monitoring the situation.
जो लोग ईरान के अंदर हैं, ईरान से जो वापस आने हैं तो उनके लिए क्या प्रोटोकॉल हो. We are discussing all the probable situations with the ईरान ऑफिशियल्स. नेशनल इंटरनेशनल प्रोटोकॉल है, बीमारी का प्रोटोकॉल है, सब फॉलो किया. जापान की शिप से आप जानते हैं हम लोग 124 लोगों को लेकर आए. तो स्वाभाविक है कि जो बाकी इस तरह के ईरान में जो लोग हैं उनके बारे में भी हम लोग गंभीरता से विचार विमर्श भी कर रहे हैं, उसकी स्ट्रैटेजी भी वर्कआउट कर रहे हैं.
The health minister said that the ministry is doing thermal screening for passengers coming from 12 countries.
हम हमारा जो एम्बेसी के ऑफिशियल्स हैं, एक्सटर्नल अफेयर्स के लोग हैं, वो ईरान के ऑफिशियल्स के साथ जो है वहाँ के साथ जो ट्रैवल के संदर्भ में जो एडवाइजरीज वगैरह हैं और ट्रैवल के संदर्भ में जो हमें फॉलो करना है किस प्रकार से प्रोटोकॉल्स, उसके बारे में दे आर कंटिन्यूसली इन टच. विशेषकर ईरान, इटली, कोरिया और सिंगापुर, इन स्थानों पर जितना भी नॉन एसेंशियल ट्रैवल है उसको वो लोग पूरी तरह से अवॉइड करें. सरकार की तरफ से हाईएस्ट लेवल पर सारी चीज़ों को निरंतर मॉनिटर किया जा रहा है.
There have been over 88,000 cases of coronavirus infection worldwide, including China, and so far around 3,000 people have died. A total of 2,870 people have died in China, while 79,824 people are infected. Meanwhile, the people of China are slowly returning to their work.
Now, we take turns to work. The Beijing government has required 50% of the staff to come back to work, right? Now we have A and B groups taking turns.
Chinese officials have reiterated that efforts to curb the outbreak are achieving positive results. The second most afflicted country after China is South Korea, where 3,736 people have been infected with 18 deaths. In view of the danger, the semesters of universities have been extended. In Italy too, 34 people died and 1,694 people are infected. The second case of the coronavirus was confirmed in the African country of Egypt on Monday. On the other hand, 54 deaths and 978 infections have been reported from COVID-19 in Iran. In the US, a second case of COVID-19 has been reported. In view of this, travelers from Italy and South Korea have been asked to conduct a thorough investigation. US President Donald Trump and senior White House officials have warned their citizens to avoid traveling to the coronavirus-infected areas of Italy and South Korea. The first cases of coronavirus have been reported in the North American country, Dominican Republic and New Zealand. In France, 130 people have reported the infection so far. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has said that fighting with coronavirus is his country's top priority.
On the wider issue of coronavirus, which obviously is of great concern to people, I just want to reassure everybody and say that the NHS is making every possible preparation, and I actually saw myself some of the works that's being done across the NHS to get ready for that. And as you can imagine, just last night, and as you can imagine, the issue of coronavirus is something that is now the government's top priority, and I've just had a meeting with the Chief Medical Officer.
The French Finance Minister has said that steps will be taken to reduce the impact on economic growth caused by the coronavirus at the G7 meeting. Sports events are also being affected by the virus. It was decided to postpone the 29th season of the Azlan Shah Cup hockey tournament to September. The Azlan Shah Cup was to be held in Ipoh, Malaysia from April 11th to 18th, but now the tournament will be held from September 24th to October 3rd. On March 15th, the proposed Asian Walking Championships in Japan was also cancelled due to the threat of the coronavirus infection. 13 Indian players were also to participate in it. Newsnight Desk, DD India.
The External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar today asserted that the world is in the midst of a real transition and India has stood out as a country willing to do much more. Delivering the inaugural address at the Centre for Policy Research Dialogue 2020, the External Affairs Minister also said that India has a single-minded campaign against terrorism. Let's listen to what he said.
The last few years have demonstrated a growing Indian capacity to contribute to the global discourse and make a difference to international outcomes. We have significantly shaped the connectivity debate at a time when the world was still very confused, and backed that up with a plethora of projects, including in our immediate neighborhood. Our single-minded campaign against terrorism has brought that issue into sharp focus in key world forums, including the G20.
Moving on then to our next story, the Union Ministers Dr. Harshvardhan, Smriti Irani and Ashwini Kumar Chaubey inaugurated the Health, Wellness and Nutrition Camp for Women at Nirman Bhavan in New Delhi. In her address, the Women and Child Development Minister Smriti Irani said that for the first time under Ayushman Bharat Yojana, around 70 lakh women were provided help for the cure of cervical cancer.
एक महिला अपनी गायनेकोलॉजिकल चैलेंजेस को या तो चर्चा में नहीं लाती और कहीं ना कहीं उस सामाजिक चपेट में होने की वजह से ना ही अपने डॉक्टर तक पहुंच पाती। आयुष्मान भारत की कल्पना के अंतर्गत हमारे देश में लगभग 70 लाख महिलाओं ने सर्विकल कैंसर के लिए अप्रोच किया, भारत सरकार से मदद पाई। ये देश में न सिर्फ स्वास्थ्य की दृष्टि से एक बहुत बड़ा प्रमाणित करता है कि एक सामाजिक हमारे यहाँ पर रेवोल्यूशन आ रहा है, बल्कि साथ ही महिला के रिप्रोडक्टिव राइट्स को एक सुनिश्चित करने के भी प्रयास की सफलता को दर्शाता है।
And speaking on the occasion, the Health and Family Welfare Minister Dr. Harshvardhan said that the World Health Organization has praised the initiatives and schemes undertaken by the government for the welfare of pregnant women and lactating mothers.
मातृ सुरक्षा अभियान हमारा जब बहुत बड़ा आंदोलन बना तो मुझे आज भी याद है कि 7 अप्रैल और 1998 को अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी थोड़े ही दिन के प्रधानमंत्री थे। उस समय मार्च में वो प्रधानमंत्री बने थे दूसरी बार 13 महीने की सरकार के अंदर, और उस साल इस आंदोलन को इतना बड़ा आंदोलन विश्व स्वास्थ्य संगठन ने बनाया कि उन्होंने 7 अप्रैल 1998 को अपने वर्ल्ड हेल्थ डे पर जो मैटरनल हेल्थ है इसको अपना इंटरनेशनल थीम बनाया।
And now news about women's empowerment. Well, educating and empowering the girl child and women in general has been the mission of Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. And this campaign was started, in fact, by the Prime Minister in 2015. There are several other initiatives also launched by the central government to improve the lot of women and to help the nation's progress. Here's an excerpt of our special show, Educating Women, Empowering the Nation.
अगर बेटी पैदा नहीं होगी तो बहू कहां से लाओगे? और इसलिए जो हम चाहते हैं वो समाज भी तो चाहता है। हम ये तो चाहते हैं कि बहू तो हमें पढ़ी लिखी मिले, लेकिन बेटी को पढ़ाना है तो 50 बार सोचने के लिए मजबूर हो जाते हैं। ये अन्याय कब तक चलेगा?
Keeping the goal of all-round development firmly in sight, the Indian government gave the clarion call for Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. This has led to gross enrollment ratio of girls being higher than that of boys at all educational levels.
And now, glimpses of world news in our World Wrap.
In the US, Pete Buttigieg has decided to quit the Democratic race. The decision came just 48 hours after his crushing loss in the South Carolina primary, where Pete's poor performance signaled an inability to build a broader coalition of voters. Clashes erupted in Greece as the police fired tear gas to repel migrants who were trying to cross the border from Turkey, with thousands more behind them after Ankara relaxed curbs on their movement. One child has died and around 47 migrants have been injured after their boat capsized off the Greek islands of Lesbos. About 1,000 migrants have reached Greece's eastern Aegean islands from Turkey. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan will visit Russia on the 5th of March for a summit with his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin. The decision came amid rising conflict between Moscow and Ankara. 2 Katyusha rockets fell inside the heavily fortified green zone in Iraq's capital Baghdad. The sources said that one missile landed near the US embassy. According to security sources, there have been no casualties caused. Syrian government forces have taken control of a strategic rebel-held town in Idlib province after heavy fighting with rebels supported by the Turkish army. Syrian state television broadcast live footage from Sarakel and said it was under government control. Rebels have denied the report, saying they still hold the town despite heavy shelling. In the Philippines, a gunman shot a man and held about 30 people hostage at a mall in the capital Manila, where armed police and negotiators attempted to end the standoff peacefully. The gunman was sacked by the company that provides security for the mall and had tried to get other guards involved. Luis Alberto Lascelles Pou of the National Party took oath as the president in Uruguay. The 46-year-old swore fidelity in the legislative palace to head an administration that ends 15 years of left-wing rule under the Broad Front coalition.
And now some sports news. Well, New Zealand completed a memorable series victory over India by winning the second test in Christchurch today and a 2-0 clean sweep of the series. New Zealand scored 132 for 3 to notch up a 7-wicket win and pocket the 2-match series. The hosts completed the job with the openers Tom Latham hitting 52 and Tom Blundell hitting 55. Doing the bulk of the scoring, Kyle Jamieson was declared the man of the match. The tall fast bowler Jasprit Bumrah, in fact, also picked up 2 wickets, one after the Kiwi openers had put on a solid 103-run stand. Earlier, India were all out for 124 in the second innings. Resuming the third day at 90 for 6, India lost the overnight batsmen Hanuma Vihari and Rishabh Pant early, and the tail also could not survive for long. And for the hosts, the lead pacer Trent Bolt finished with impressive figures of 4 for 28, and his new ball partner Tim Southee was also equally good, taking 3 wickets for 36 runs at the Hagley Oval. And Team India registered their first series loss in the World Test Championship. This is after being whitewashed by New Zealand in the 2-match series. The visiting Indian side were outplayed, as we said, in every department, and they produced a disappointing result after leading the World Test Championship tally for quite a long time. Here we take a look at what led to India's Test series failure against New Zealand.
Team India captain Virat Kohli did not shy away from accepting the fact that his side was outplayed by New Zealand. He also made it a point to mention that his side will identify the mistakes, learn from them and move on. India, the #1 ranked side in the world, coped a thrashing in Christchurch and conceded the series 2-0. The bowlers were brilliant on day 2, but the consecutive failure of batting order meant that the side never had enough runs to play with.
Obviously, quite disappointed with how we played in this series. As you rightly said, we take every challenge that comes our way, we try and take it head on, and that's something that we've done in the past. I feel like we were completely outplayed in this series, and we obviously did not play the kind of cricket that we do play as a team. Yeah, it's obviously very disappointing to lose the series in this manner, and something that as a team we all realize, and we all are definitely accepting it straight up.
Here we take a look at the three main reasons behind India's defeat. Inability of the opening combination. The new inexperienced opening pair of Mayank Agarwal and Prithvi Shaw was always going to be under pressure against the quality of the Kiwis bowlers, especially in conditions which favoured them. While both Mayank and Prithvi notched the 50s, in two different innings they were never able to build up a solid base which exposed the middle order to the new ball in both the test matches. Wagging tail of New Zealand. In both the test matches, India were in a decent position, but then they struggled to wipe off the tail of the New Zealand, which wagged in both the matches and added invaluable runs, which were difference between the sides. Losing wickets in clumps. Even the conditions were tough when the bowlers were getting the ball to hoop around. India found batsmen who dug in and added formidable partnership. In the first innings in Christchurch, Hanuma Vihari and Cheteshwar Pujara were solid for the first wicket, and India, after being asked to bat on a green wicket, were placed formidably at 194 for 4. This is when Vihari lost his wicket and India were eventually bundled out for 245. This has been a problematic area for India in overseas condition and something which needs to be resolved as soon as possible. Sports Desk, DD India.
Disappointing loss there, but let's now conclude this bulletin by giving you some news from across the country. Here's our regional roundup.
President Ramnath Kovind today attended the 8th convocation ceremony of Guru Ghasidas Central University in Chhattisgarh's Bilaspur. During the convocation, 74 gold medals and 76 PhD degrees were conferred on students. Addressing the function, President Kovind emphasized the need to inculcate moral values in education, as the key objective for students was not just to acquire a degree but become a good human being. Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath inaugurated and laid foundation stone for projects worth Rs 2,821 crore in Noida. The Chief Minister said that Jewar, where an international airport is coming up, will be the most developed region in the country and favourite investment destination in 5 to 10 years. The Supreme Court declined to refer to a larger 7-judge bench a batch of petitions challenging the constitutional validity of the centre's decision to abrogate provisions of Article 370 on August 5th last year. The court said there were no reasons to refer the matter to a larger bench. The central government permitted airlines operating in India to provide in-flight Wi-Fi services to passengers, according to an official notification. In Rajasthan, farmers held the Zameen Samadhi Satyagraha in Nindar village to protest against the alleged land acquisition by the Jaipur Development Authority for a housing project. The farmers have been demanding that their lands be acquired as per the amended Land Acquisition Act and compensation awarded accordingly. The second day of Jharkhand Assembly's budget session was disrupted, with opposition BJP MLAs demanding their legislature party leader Babulal Marandi be announced leader of opposition of the House. Speaker Rabindranath Mahato adjourned the House twice in the morning session before suspending the proceedings for the day shortly post-lunch. The Arunachal Pradesh Assembly went paperless with the implementation of e-Vidhan during the first day of the budget session. With the implementation of the e-Vidhan project, MLAs can access every information regarding the Assembly through their laptops and tablet computers. TMC Supremo Mamta Banerjee launched Banglar Gorbo Mamta, Bengal's Pride Mamta, a public outreach campaign to connect with more than 2.5 crore people and get the party battle ready for the upcoming civic polls and the 2021 state assembly elections.
And that's all we have in this bulletin. Thanks for being with us. Namaskar.